Hey there! So, I know that last week I said that I was going to make my next video about music, and I still want to make a video about music, but I'm sorry, this video is not going to be that video because I kind of decided that I was going to talk about something that I'm a bit more passionate about because I'm passionate about it and I like it, so that's something that I should be talking about, and those are the topics that I should be talking about. Not that I'm not passionate about music, don't get me wrong, love me some music. But if you know anything about me, this next topic is a lot closer to home as far as what I like. I'm probably going to spend a couple weeks, because this is not a topic that can just be in and out, talking about video games. So, background, if you don't know me, I love video games with a huge passion. I actually don't have video game posters up. I thought I might. I have a lot of video game paraphernalia right behind the camera, and of course that's where my video game systems are, and pretty much all my video game stuff is not in sight, but I really do like video games a lot. So why do I like video games? Video games for me have given me a very creative outlet. So a lot of people in my life have been upset whenever I've compared video games to books and movies and entertainment like that. Books are like the epitome of intelligent people. Like, they teach you things and you grow from them and you expand your creative abilities, and pretty much just people idolize books, which is cool because I love books too. I read my fair share of books. I don't read as much as I should, but I do like books. Books are awesome. I'm not bashing books whenever I say video games to me are not that different than books. Except to me, video games speak to me on a much higher level than books have ever managed to. And that makes a lot of people mad because for them, I don't know why, but they put video games like at a very low intelligence level and books at a very high intelligence level. And so that's always kind of irked me because I consider myself fairly smart and fairly intelligent. So when people say that the thing that has inspired most of my personality is actually not as important as their thing that has inspired their personality, kind of doesn't sit right. So I kind of just want to be a voice that says, hey, here are some video game things, and here are some redeeming factors about them, and hey, maybe there are some downsides to video games. In my last video I talked about how maybe video games are kind of getting rid of that whole loss, and you experience life and you lose at things and you have to recover, and maybe video games are doing that. I will admit that sometimes video games do give off bad ideas, but if you look at books, you can't say books don't do that either, because have you read 50 Shades of Grey? I have not, disclaimer, so I have no idea what it's about. I've just heard all the uproar about it from not just opponents of the book, but people who are into that type of sexuality and who think that that is not promoting it properly. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't read the book, I have no idea, no firsthand, but a lot of people are comparing that to abuse and how it's not actually a healthy relationship, and yet we're eating that up. If you look, it's a movie now and all this stuff, and people eat that up, and you can't tell me that people who play that, people who read that, don't take that to heart, because we kind of take everything to heart that we do and what we read and what we see and what we hear, and that just all kind of shapes us. So you can't tell me that video games are bad because of things like Grand Theft Auto, when you've got things like 50 Shades of Grey. There are some good and bad on both sides, so you gotta see that. And that's something that gets me, because a lot of people idolize the good books but forget the bad books. But when they look at video games, they only see the bad video games. Not that they're bad video games, because I think Grand Theft Autos have actually kind of proven themselves as fairly good video games. They just have some really questionable content in them. And I think that's what people see when they look at video games, and the more I talk about this, the more I think that that's just kind of the theme for every video I make. That people on one side of the argument loft up their view, and then when they look at the other side, they look at their faults without realizing there are faults on their side too. And I think the world would be a much better place if we were to be able to see that there are positives and negatives to every viewpoint. And that sometimes you have to accept that the negatives are there, and sometimes you have to make a compromise between the two sides. But people don't like to compromise for whatever reason. So back to books and video games. I might just leave this video, I might just cut it off here and then just say, hey guys, next week I'm going to talk about streaming video games. There's going to be a week where I talk about video games as sports and esports and that whole scene and how that compares to actual sports and the arguments for and against that. I'm going to talk about the community, the gamer community, because there's a lot of stuff like Gamergate and stuff like that have happened, and people are all up in arms on both sides. And just being a gamer in general, because with the whole Gamergate thing, but kind of sort of separate, is this idea that the gamer identity is dying. And I don't know, maybe it is, maybe more and more people are becoming, anyway, that's not for this video. I will discuss that in a later video, and then further on from that, we'll see. Maybe I'll talk about other things in video games. Actually, number 5, I'm probably going to talk about Anita Sarkeesian and her feminist frequency videos, because I think those are really wonderful videos. I just think they have some key points that I would like to discuss. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what other video game topics you would want to hear about. I'll try not to make every single video go back to the whole two opposing viewpoints and thing. But it just seems to be a theme with everything. And if you look into pretty much any two-sided argument, you will see the same plus negative both sides, and people are too blind to see their own negatives while pointing out everyone else's. And I guess that's a metaphor for life. So yeah, there's that. Here starts my video game videos. Videos about video games, video games. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with some clever video titles for these, or playlist titles or whatnot. Could you hear the train? I can hear the train. Anyway, I love you all. Don't forget to smile. I'll see you next week with another video game topic. Adios.